So, thank you for joining me on this very insightful session on the fatherhood wounding. We tend to be a lot more aware of the motherhood wounding, but the fatherhood wounding is something that we must be considerate of. It can be very insidious. So, let me give you a few interesting statistics before we get started from the States. 81% of all girls who have teenage pregnancies come from a fatherless home. And in the prison system, 70% of men were or are fatherless. And 81% of all homeless people were also fatherless. Amazing, right? It's a real thing, and it's something that doesn't get talked about. And when we think about what we need from a father, think of this very easy list, the 4 Ps. We need protection, provision, presence, and praise. These 4 things are what we needed as a child. And I just want you for a minute to think about, did you have these things? Were any of them prolific? Or what was not available to you as you were growing up? Did your father protect, provide, be present, and praise? Or maybe they were too, into discipline, too overprotective, too much. Because we do look for our fathers to protect us. They are the first men in our lives, and they're there to provide safety for us. So I'd investigate those 4 things and just see whether any of them were not there. So I'm going to go through the different forms of wounding. So then once you know what's been like the key thing, you can know how to heal, release, and move up and out from this. And this would be a really good topic to journal on and also delve more into after this session. Because how our father interacts with us, the relationship we had with that father or father figure, I should say, it impacts our self-esteem, how we value ourselves, the power we feel in this world, and also how compassionate we are. So it then affects how we build relationships with other men or other kind of masculine figures in our lives. It impacts our confidence and ultimately how we feel in the world, how supported and protected we are. So however we were wounded in our childhood is then going to play out in the future, and it's all unconscious. We don't even realize this is going on. So let me ask you this. Was your father there for you? Physically? Emotionally? Where was he in your life? For me, my father was neither. He was up early. I always admired him getting up early, and he got on his bike and he cycled to work, home at 5 o'clock. But there was no interaction. There was no kind of emotional connection. Can anyone relate to that? But I also now understand, and it paves the way to forgiveness, I think it's a generational thing. The generation before us, they were coming out of the war. They were in survival mode. There was kind of like, life was hard, life was struggle. And my father was the youngest of 4, and he didn't have a father. His father passed away when he was 5. And so with this work, with this understanding, it paves the way for compassion, understanding, forgiveness, that they didn't know any different. But the thing is, with an absent father, it's going to impact on our self-worth. It impacts on how lovable we feel, or how good we are, or how good enough we perceive ourselves to be. We're always seeking validation and approval. And so when we feel there's an absence, it can feed into feelings of neediness or jealousy or possessiveness, because we're so scared and frightened of abandonment. It can feed into needing to control situations or being like a hyperachiever, and being, you've accomplished so much, but actually it's all done from a place of feeling not good enough because we didn't get that approval and love and attention that we sought from them. And that can play out in, your lives forever. Many of my clients are very high achieving women who still do not feel good enough. And it comes down to this sort of wounding that's happened in the childhood. Okay. What about your father? What was he unreliable? Did he make promises and then break them? Or, and the thing is with regards to the masculine energy is a primal, protective, secure energy that's meant to create that feeling of safety and security that you are okay and that you can survive. This is cave woman stuff. So if it's not available, and you feel that your father was unreliable and you felt unsupported, one, you don't feel powerful. Two, you don't feel resolute. And three, it kind of feeds into that feeling of being a little bit all at sea. You're never quite kind of sure of yourself. And even as I say that, I'm thinking, my gosh, this is absolutely true. But it plays out in, especially in my business, just not sometimes feeling sure of myself. So it's interesting to shine a light on this and know where it's coming from. Yes, this can be balanced by your mother, that main caregiver, that feminine energy, which is there to really teach you how to love and to trust and to nurture. It can be balanced, but it's got to be a very, very, very strong energy from a mother for that to, be balanced enough. So when you have an unreliable father figure, it kind of can put us on a bit of a back foot. We don't want to trust people. We don't actually trust ourselves, like I said, in making decisions. And look for situations where younger women often, if they go for like much, much older men, it's because they're looking for that safety and that provision because they don't feel they can do it on their own. That's just a random example. Okay, and what about, was your father physically, emotionally, or sexually abusive? This is deep, deep wounding that will then affect you on all those levels of self, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. It's extremely damaging to our nervous system because we inherently don't feel safe. So we sit in a place of recreating past beliefs, programmings, feelings of all the yuck, and then it feeds into our future self. We don't feel we can have what we want. We don't feel powerful. It feeds into our anxiety. We're never, ever, ever present. So, when it's deep, dark wounding like this, we do need proper support to heal, and that's a whole puzzle piece of stuff going on, maybe tapping or therapy or trauma release, talk therapy, and obviously in the tapping that we are going to do and what my private clients do, we have to go into the past because that is where the healing lies. And when you do, oh my gosh, you start releasing and coming back to who you are deep down inside. Otherwise, if we don't choose to do the healing, we will keep on attracting the same situations. We will keep on attracting familiar patterns where we don't feel we can create what we want, where we feel stuck and frustrated and angry at ourselves until we actually go into what it is that's getting in the way of us feeling and living the life that we're meant to, which is a place from, creation. And you are a powerful, powerful being and you are safe and secure. You are whole and complete. Okay, so when we know this, and we understand that how our fathers were and how they behaved to us, can understand it's all unconscious. They were doing the best they can from the perception they believe to be the truth, not true. That's where we can learn to forgive. And that is a process. This is difficult if you've had lifelong trauma with a little t. Feeling not good enough, always having to do your best, still not getting the attention, still not getting the praise, still not getting the presence that you sought. Or maybe, you raged against your father because, maybe he was physical towards you. So then you're sort of sitting in a place of feeling that any time you do something that's not quite right or not in line with what he would want, it's dangerous. That's a very impactful, damaging experience to have on our nervous system, and we just keep replaying it because even though we might not like it, it's familiar, and that inherently, that unsafe feeling feels the most normal to us, so we keep on doing it. Okay, so when we feel wounded by the father, ultimately there is love that was missing in some form. So let's just talk about the symptoms of some of the wounding. So you might resent the masculine patriarchal system. You might wonder why you rage against your male boss. You might seek to have mentors or leaders that are male. You might, be at loggerheads with your very, strong, powerful husband. Masculine energy is power, it's competition, it's achievement, it's accomplishment, it's winning, it's success. And even though that might be maybe some of your value systems, you might rage against it because your father didn't provide what you needed. And therefore, it's going to hold you back from creating what it is you want. And when you can allow yourself to be both and not raging against it, you can then start to really kind of move on and up to get what you want. And maybe you see the fatherhood wounding in others. Maybe this triggers you. Let's talk about the Peter Pan syndrome. Those men that have never grown up, that have no responsibility, like, the Disney dads, and just like, full on and just like, rah, like, and not being the powerful figure that we seek to protect, provide, praise, and be present for us. And when we recognize this in others, again, it's, we call it arrested development, that again, you can start feeling compassionate and forgiveness towards others, especially as we investigate our own wounding and realize that others are also operating from their wounding from their childhood. Okay, so we're going to get into some tapping now, and it's now, just for the sake of argument on this, it's about 11 and a half minutes in, so when you next want to do some tapping. I want you to really go into these low vibe emotions surrounding how loved and supported we felt by our fathers. And then, you're going to powerfully release this with this tapping. And those feelings, however dark they are, shame, guilt, anger, disappointment, sadness, frustration, regret, rejection, whatever it is, all those emotions that we've been told aren't socially acceptable, I encourage you to allow yourself to feel them in your body. We get all in our heads about life, and actually you're meant to feel your way through life. You're not meant to think your way through life. And if we actually just trust our body, our emotions are held not just within our energy system. Emotions are energy, emotion, they are pure energy. And if you haven't been able to express and release them, then you have pushed and suppressed and repressed them and pushed them away. They're getting in the way of your vibe and creating what it is you want. They're also felt within your cells. Okay, so as you do this, you are going to start releasing, and you need to get very, very aware of where it might be feeling in your body, and really put your attention on that space. So this tapping is going to allow you to finally bring those feelings to the surface so you can fully, fully feel them. And as always, before we start, I want you to be somewhere comfortable where you won't get disturbed, where you can feel safe to let go, say how you're truly feeling. Tapping is deep and transformative, and this is an overarching tapping. So there might, I don't know your personal life experience, so feel free to pause the tapping, go down a rabbit hole, a situation where your father really let you down and you want to let rip, and you want to really say what you wish you could have said and done back in the day with your adult intellect and maturity now, and really go for it, and then come back to the tapping. You don't have to do the whole script in one go. But the key thing here is to trust the process. I've been tapping for years. It is the most life-transforming modality. I wouldn't be without it in my life. It's my go-to, and to understand that you're using tapping as a clearing mechanism. You're unblocking stored, dormant, dwelling negative energy from these emotions that you felt that were never fully expressed, that needs releasing. And then as you do this, it feels amazing. Your entire energy center starts to shift, and you start flowing and just feel a bit more peace and a bit more ease in life. It's incredible. So I'm going to invite you to feel very grounded. Lean into where you are. Feel the chair beneath you. And when we tap, we close down our eyes. We want to really go within. Not be stimulated by the noisy external world. And I encourage you to do a couple of deep cleansing breaths. Let's do another. Just tuning into maybe where that pulsating feeling is in your body. It can be anywhere. Just tune into that feeling. It might be in your stomach, across your chest. Maybe it's in your arms or your shoulders, wherever it is. Allow your breath to return to its normal pattern. And I want you to bring to the forefront of your mind the memory, the situation, or just how generally it was with your father. Whatever most triggers you when you think about your father. Was he never there? Did he over-discipline you? Was he reliable? Did you seek praise and never get it? What is it that triggers you most about him? Whatever the memory or experience has given you these feelings that are familiar to you, that physical feeling in your body, where you feel unprotected, unsupported, unheard, ignored, stuck or frustrated, or just unloved. That he was unavailable to you, emotionally and physically. Whatever the scenario is, just let it come into your mind. And I'm going to invite you to bring those uncomfortable feelings to the front of your consciousness. And just notice, staying in your body with loving awareness, where you're feeling it. Where is it the most intense? Wherever that energy is, allow your attention to settle there. Focus your entire energy and attention on that place. Might be in your solar plexus. Mine is absolutely pumping at the moment. Might be in your heart. Wherever it is, no judgment. It's just where the feelings are stuck. Just allow those feelings to permeate your body, even if it's really uncomfortable. The frustration, the anger, the guilt, the rejection, just let it come. Honour your body. You're honouring yourself for doing this work. And just know that however unpleasant it feels, by doing this work, you're going to release it. Drop into that feeling still more. You're fully feeling this feeling. Give it a full awareness. Notice what size that feeling is. It tight and like a little nut, or is it fully encompassing? What is it doing? Is it kicking out and pulsating? Is it like a constricting? What is the feeling doing? And just notice on a scale of 1 to 10, just how intense that feeling is. Like 1, not there really, and 10 being it's the most intense it could ever be. Just rate it in your own mind. Just focus on those feelings. And by tapping, we're going to lower the intensity of these feelings and turn towards the positive. And you're just going to start tapping 7 to 8 times on each spot before moving to the next tapping place. But if you get stuck on one spot, that's okay too. It just shows you've got more energy to shift. You're going to start tapping on your eyebrow point 7 to 8 times. Then you're going to move to the side of your eye, all on the right side of your body, just with your right hand. Then underneath your eye, underneath your nose, chin, clavicle, rib cage, up to the top of your head. And even what I'm saying, even when I'm saying stuff, if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't matter. Just putting a vibration through those energy points to see if there's anything there to get rid of. So when you're ready, start tapping with moderate pressure, just 2 or 3 fingers on that middle eyebrow point. And repeat after me. When I really dare to go into it, I needed you to be there. To be there for me. Your child. As my dad. To love and protect me. To provide for me. support me, to be there to listen to me and to praise me, even if you didn't think I was good enough. All I've ever felt is abandoned by you. Never good enough. And I feel shame and embarrassment for not being the daughter you wanted me to be. Why weren't you there for me? I don't understand. You're my dad. I just wanted you to love me unconditionally. But instead, I had to act in ways to get your attention, to become someone I'm not, removing myself from who I truly am, because I thought this was the only way. I had to be an overachiever, a perfectionist. Then maybe I'd get your praise and love. Maybe I had to harden my heart and not let your lack of love get to me, impacting on how I go about things in relationships, still feeling unheard and unloved. I became a rebel. Then you'd get my attention. But all this did was damage my self-worth and how I felt about myself. And I now recognise that this is no longer working for me. In fact, it's worked against me. It's got me so far, but now I'm drawing the line. I needed you to be there, to be supported me. But all I feel is unsafe and unsupported in the world. I feel powerlessness. I feel it in my gut. I feel this sense of unsafe, scary places. I cannot go and get what it is I want. It doesn't feel safe to do it. Why did you discipline me so much? I was just a little child. I was just having fun. But I was scared of you. Scared you might punish me, hurt me, shout me. So what do? I closed that part of me down. And acknowledging this and understanding how I've let this wounding impact my relationships with men, how untrusting I feel, the things that I've sought, the shame that I've felt, the need for praise from other people. Now I understand. I don't quite trust anyone, including myself. I don't trust myself to make decisions. I don't trust myself to stand in my power and know who I am and what it is I'm here to do. It feels very unsafe to be me. Why can't I be as powerful as you? You didn't care. You just lived your life. It irritates me so much. So irritated. I rage against these people that can just, they have it all. They feel supported. They're powerful. They don't look for external praise and they just get on with it. What is wrong with me? I feel so abandoned by you. That you weren't the man I needed you to be. And for that, I'm so desperately sad. I'm so sad you weren't there for me. What's wrong with me? Why didn't you love me the way I needed? Why weren't you there for me? Why did you just ignore me? or hurt me when I did something wrong. I was just learning about the world. It's as if you don't really care about my feelings. Why am I not heard by you? I loved you. You're the first man I really loved. My anchor, my rock. But instead of it just being unconditional, I had to fight for it. And I still lost. I could never rely on you. You'd say one thing and do another. I felt lied to and cheated by you. Why would you do this to me? And all this created is pain, frustration, grief, sadness, and actually a lot of anger that you were never there for me. And anger towards myself that I've allowed this to mold my life. So many times I felt let down by you. So many times you weren't there for me. So many times you couldn't be the man I needed you to be. There is a deep, deep pain in my heart that you never noticed me or accepted me or loved me for who I truly am. And now there's nothing I can do to get your attention. I had to wait all my life. I feel so utterly lost that I don't have this connection with you. The love I craved. And now it feels too late. I'm past caring. You're never going to be considering my feelings. You can't be. It makes me angry and sad, lost and resentful at not being able to change the past and feel protected, provided, praised, and have you in my present space. That you could never be the man I needed you to be. But I'm willing to feel the feelings. I'm willing to acknowledge you didn't know any better. I'm willing to acknowledge I didn't know any better. And I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to release myself from this. Because actually, deep down, I'm a very, very powerful woman. I know who I am deep down inside. I can create anything I want. And I've lived with these feelings, lived with these thoughts and beliefs. They are not mine. They're just stories I made up to keep myself safe. And so in time, I can move on. I'm willing to feel the feelings. I'm even willing to trust myself. I might start small, but now I know. Now I understand. I have the opportunity to feel powerful and create the life that I want. Okay, so just stop tapping. It doesn't matter where you are, or whether you got stuck or anything. Just take a couple of deep breaths. And I want you, with eyes closed, just to zone into that area where you were feeling these feelings, these deep, dark feelings. And just notice what's going on with the energy now. What's happening? Has it changed? Has it, changed shape? Or what's the energy doing? Then I just want you to rate it out of 10 again. Just check in with that intensity. Has it lowered? We're just looking, even for 1 point lower. It's just about lowering the intensity. These feelings have been part of your identity for so long. Sometimes we shift, mountains in one go. Other times, just little bits get chipped off. Zero judgment. But what I will say is that if this fatherhood wounding is, a massive factor in your life, then go back and do this tapping a few times. It will radically shift how you feel. So you can start stepping into the woman you really are from a place of high vibration, being able to create what you want. You are powerful, limitless energy. And it's a beautiful place to be when you release yourself from all that you're not. So thank you for doing this tapping with me. If you are interested in private tapping, where we really go into, very, very specific personal private stories, and it's aligned just for you, then you are very welcome to get in touch with me. So thank you for listening.